since you bring it up, Joe, you bring it up, the whole thing yesterday. Two sides of the reaction to Mike Leach saying after the game, we're going to have kicker tryouts. Okay, so you had two sides of a reaction. And, I didn't really come down strongly on it one way or the other. Almost to a fault, I kind of looked at that and said, I mean, it's really no skin off my back either way. What do I care? I'm not supposed to have some big emotional reaction to it either way. I mean, you want to have a tryout for kickers? Do. You don't? Oh, you're mad that he said it? Fine, be mad. You support it? Okay, fine, support it. But anyway, it came up on yesterday's show. I don't mind it at all. I don't. I mean, I think it's compared to the way teammates talk to each other, players, the way they talk to themselves, the way coaches talk to players, the way coaches coach players, the conversations they have, the highly, highly on-edge competitive world they all live in every day. That's something that's really innocuous for a coach to go, we're going to have kicker tryouts. Well, it happens to come after a game where you miss three. It happens to be on a football team as one of the three worst field goal kicking teams in the whole country out of 130. Okay, so what do you want them to do? And then people going, so let me categorize it for you, Joe, and then we'll move on. Number one, a media person, and it doesn't have to be Paul Finebaum, but it can be him or someone like him. A media person taking this approach, saying, well, you ought to be nicer to the player. I mean, that's effectively what they're saying. I think his words on the TV thing yesterday, Finebaum, was, you're supposed to put your arm around him and encourage him. Really? Of all the people that I don't want to hear that from, it's certain people in the media, including Mr. Finebaum, who's very successful. But the guy's made a career out of absolutely slashing to pieces and eviscerating coaches and players. That's it. That's how he's made his career. So it's okay for somebody to preach to me about putting my arm around a player, but not him. Okay. Number two, you got another group out here. Now listen closely to this. I mean it. There are also, like I said, there's two sides in this reaction to the whole kicker tryout thing. Well, and one side is critical, right? One side of this reaction is very critical of Mike Leach for doing this. Well, I've seen some reaction from some fans. But some of y'all that have been the most critical about Mike Leach, you got some kind of axe to grind with him, but you're the most critical about him making this out to be throwing a player under the bus. Well, number one, he didn't name a player. Okay, we get the drift, but there's more than one kicker. But still, you're very critical of that. Well, some of y'all that are very critical of it, under these assumed names, get this. Look at me in my eyes. I know who you are. And I happen to know some of the things you've said about players yourself over the years. Some of the things you've said, some of the things you've tweeted, some of the things you've posted. Okay, in fact, some of y'all, I know some of the things you said about me. And I ain't holding your feet to the fire about it. Some of you couldn't be more hypocritical. You're sitting here on one hand typing up and sending out a post that says critical of Mike Leach because he throws a player under the bus, when in fact, I can go back and look up some of the crap you've said about individual players coming right out of your mouth. So don't come at me with that. I'll hear it from somebody else, but not from you. And then, there's a third group who were critical of that. And I would say that's a few former players. Now, what I have seen, reaction on social media, other stuff, large majority of former players are looking at this kind of the way I have and going, I mean, you get your feelings hurt by that? I mean, I've heard 10 times worse. Okay, I'll give you an example. Like when Coach Sherrill said about me after a couple of games I played in, he goes, they're asking him about winning the ball game, and the first thing out of his mouth was, well, number 7 didn't do anything this week to get us beat. Okay, well, did I get my feelings hurt about that? No, because he's exactly right. The week before, I did a whole lot to get us beat. My fault. And this week I didn't. He's telling it like it is. Am I hurt? He threw me under the bus? It didn't bother me. He's telling the truth about it. So most former players that way, this approach right there. But there's a few who are like, oh, I'd transfer immediately. Oh, boy, I tell you what, he's supposed to encourage you, not beat you up. Well, you know what? That mentality, I'm telling you, is few and far between among players in highly competitive sports. Few and far between. Majority of guys, especially successful players, they want the toughest coaching they can get around. So don't come at me with this stuff about, oh, I'm a former player and I'd have transferred. Well, fine. Sounds like that might have worked out best for everybody. If that's all it takes to get you hot under the collar and want to quit, then I say it doesn't take much.